Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. So evidently, Extreme Rules is no longer a B pay-per-view because last night's Raw felt like a Raw after WrestleMania, Larson.
It did in a lot of ways. It did, yeah.
There were returns. There was a pretty big title change, and of course, the drama with the Bloodline continues and is even more compelling than ever with this new dynamic of Sami Zayn being the boss of Jey Uso. It's got me on pins and needles. But first, before we dive into last night's loaded Monday Night Raw, let's talk about Triple H, the leader of DX. Well, co-leader, I guess, now of DX, given that Shawn Michaels was originally leader, then it was Triple H, and then they were sort of like co-leaders, I guess.
Yeah, when they had the reunion with just the two of them.
Just a duo at that point. Not really leaders.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like Triple H is leader. I mean, he's running the whole affair, so he's leader. Anyway, he's the leader of WWE Creative. He might be looking to reload NXT. What's going on with that?
So prior to last night's Raw, PW Insider reported that former Ring of Honor six-man tag champs, Vincent. Yes, Vincent. Honor No More is Vincent.
Is PCO with them?
No. And Dutch was with Vincent, not PCO. They were both backstage at the Barclays Center for Monday night's episode of Raw. And in the most recent Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer spoke about the possibility of WWE bringing in some more free agents, saying these transcripts come to you from Wrestle Talk. Quote, Mia Yim, obviously her husband is in AEW, Keith Lee. Paul Levesque is trying to get everybody back that he had before in NXT. They got fired when he didn't have power, and she would fit into that category. I know WWE has interest in Taven. Yes, Matt Taven. Vincent was backstage at the show tonight with Dutch, so obviously there's some interest at some level in those two as a tag team in WWE or maybe for NXT or whatever. Excuse me. So I mean, there was some news yesterday about contracts expiring in Impact.
Honor No More is no more, Larson.
I was about to say I didn't want to get into it too much for people that wanted to save the spoilers for TV, but Steve just said it. Basically, everybody Honor No More except I think PCO.
Well, we don't have to say like how because obviously coming out of Bound for Glory, Honor No More was still tag champions.
Yeah.
And we don't have to spoil the ins and outs of all that stuff.
So, my understanding is that I haven't heard anything about PCO's contract status, but Maria, Mike Bennett, Taven, and Vincent, all their deals with Impact are up. So,
was there anything specifically about Kenny King? I don't remember his name being mentioned.
I haven't seen his name mentioned either about being free agents.
Yeah, and Dutch is that Tyler Bateman?
No.
Okay.
Tyler Bateman was the third member of the Righteous, which also consisted of Vincent and Dutch.
Okay, he was the other guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But because his name was just Bateman. I think he just went by his name.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like Bateman. I thought he had a great look to him.
Yeah. He did. So I think it was just yesterday you've been talking about for a while about wanting to reload NXT with more indie talent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily consider Impact indie, but you got established talent with to certain degrees, established brands. And I think a lot of people who follow wrestling, kind of the larger world of wrestling, know who Matt Taven is.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Even if they're not that familiar with his work. So I mean, it's they're if you're talking Taven, you're talking Vincent. I don't know a whole lot about Dutch, but at least with Vincent and Taven, you're talking about a couple of guys who have a wealth of experience. Mm-hmm. Which I think Taven's 37 or something like that. So for no other reason, you bring them into NXT, they would probably be pretty solid at helping the young talent develop.
Oh, you always want people. You always want people who have been around and have done lots and lots of work in the industry, regardless, because all that knowledge will just rub off on the kids that they have there. So Patrick Ali, that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I saw that too.
So no, this is I love this. I think it's great. We got some pretty decent exposure to the dudes in Honor No More, And granted, a lot of it was their storylines were oftentimes kind of ridiculous. But, that was one of my highlights every week. Reviewing Impact, regardless, is one of my highlights every week because it's a fun show. And there's a lot of unintentional comedy, a lot of intentional comedy, and a lot of just really good stuff. And that mix right there is what I look for in wrestling. All that stuff. The absurd, the dramatic, the comedic, all of it. And they were a part of that. And I think they have a lot to offer. And if this is philosophically, Triple H is not going to have a ton of patience for next in line stuff. He didn't in the first place. I think he knew that he had something really good with the philosophy originally in NXT, which was, like a 3-to-1 ratio of veterans, people who had already established a brand, I should say, versus, next in line types, athletes who they bring in. I mean, Bianca Belair is probably like the greatest success story with that mold in a long time. Came up through NXT. She came into NXT as without any wrestling experience. And look at her now. She's a massive star. But at the same time, there's a lot more of people on the roster who did have experience wrestling prior to either WWE or NXT. And Triple H wants that. And on top of that, like, why wouldn't you want another place where if people are coming up, either getting some experience on Darker Elevation or coming up elsewhere in wrestling, have some competition for talent in AEW, but not necessarily crowding your main roster. As my cat has something to say about that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm happy you mentioned the next in line thing because we got some news on that. It kind of coincides with potentially reloading NXT. WWE announced today their campus tour, where they're going to be touring 8 major college campuses till the end of the year to recruit athletes. This is from the press release here, quote, in search of the next generation of WWE superstars. So it's not as if they're going to be like, all right, this last tryout at SummerSlam was apparently a mess. We're giving up on the NIL type deals. Maybe rather than hope good talent come to them, they're going to go out in search of it. So it seems clear it's going to be a 2-pronged approach. Now that Triple H is in charge, yes, I'm sure he's going to be far more open-minded about scouting and signing talent on the independent circuit. But it seems like he hasn't given up on developing talent in-house either.
The wealth of talent out there in the independent ranks is just there's way too much.
There's a lot. There's a lot of really good talent. I know.
I think what he'll probably, this is just my own speculation. What he's going to find is it's a lot easier to bring people in and hone what they already bring to the table when they impress versus bringing people in who don't know shit. You bring in 50 people, 10 people can hack it day one, and of those 10 people, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them might have a real feel for it. And one of those people might have the charisma that you give a shit about them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas if they're already out there, if they have it or not. Like, you already get past phases 1 through 4.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's just a matter of, okay, well, does this person translate on camera what we're trying to do? So yeah, we'll see how that works out. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who they bring in from the athletes and the colleges and stuff like that. But I get the feeling that NXT is going to go back to what it was before.
Well, let's talk about NXT a little bit. I think we got 2 talents here that kind of represent the 2 different approaches of NXT. Someone who has been on the independent scene for a while and someone who's developed nearly entirely in-house. I'm talking about Carmelo Hayes, of course, established himself on the independents before signing into NXT. And then Von Wagner, who I believe is NXT a homegrown product. They both had matches on main event prior to Raw last night. Carmelo defeated Cedric Alexander, while this is the most Von Wagner thing ever. Von Wagner lost R-Truth by DQ.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it kind of doesn't, though, to be honest with you. I don't know. If they really like Von Wagner, why are you going to bring him in and drop him out to R-Truth, who's phenomenal? But you got to figure that's like that match kind of writes itself. R-Truth is goofing around and Von Wagner takes advantage. But I guess not. I guess that's not what they did last night.
Nope.
You know, man, I want to check out the because it was Cedric and Carmelo, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
That's probably really, really good.
Oh, here we go. Fightful had this article, and I'm trying to see. Oh, okay. So it was Busted Open Radio before Raw. Lashley was interviewed, and he talked about still wanting to bring the Hurt Business back because he's still close with all those guys. Dude, how great would it be if he brought back the Hurt Business with Amos and Carmelo Hayes? Carmelo Hayes can be your mid-card guy. Cedric and Shelton can still be your tag guys, and Amos can be your heater. That would be phenomenal. That would be
pretty cool.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'd love to see that, and I hope, given that we've seen so many factions coming together, I want to see that stuff happen. You had a look on your face. What are you looking at there?
I just came upon the New Japan TV title tournament bracket.
Oh, do tell.
So these are the opening round matches. Finlay versus Kanemaru. Alex Zane versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Okay.
Yoshihashi and Jeff Cobb. Evil and Aaron Henare. That's one side of the bracket. On the other side, you got Sonata versus Taichi. Goto versus Kenta. Ren Narita versus Ishii. Yano versus Great-O-Khan. That's going to be awesome.
That's going to be phenomenal.
So I'm guessing Finlay versus Sabre. Cobb versus Evil, probably.
Oh, yeah. That first side you mentioned was all gimmies.
Yeah, I'd say Sonata probably versus Kenta.
You're probably right about that.
Ishii, and then Yano versus Great-O-Khan. I don't know.
That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up.
Ishii, let's say Ishii, Great-O-Khan.
Yeah.
So then you'd have Zack Sabre Jr. will probably beat Finlay. Cobb versus Evil is kind of a toss-up. Let's say it's Evil, I guess, because House of Torture, I think, is pretty over because they're funny. So then Evil versus Zack Sabre Jr. Again, toss-up for the semi. And on the other side, you got Sonata versus Kenta. Toss-up.
I feel like
Ishii versus Great-O-Khan.
So
Great-O-Khan should win that.
I think like there's going to be some silly upsets here. This is not a tie. I don't know. Like, is this a step up if Zack Sabre Jr. wins this?
No.
Feels like
he should be in contention for the World Heavyweight title.
This title belongs on one person. It's Great-O-Khan. And I don't even know why I say that, but it feels right. This should be on Great-O-Khan.
I know. It does seem right.
This feels like it should be the Great-O-Khan title. This should be for Great-O-Khan what the Never title was for Goto. It should always come back around to Great-O-Khan.
When in doubt, put the belt on Great-O-Khan.
Right, yes. It makes sense. Like, it totally makes sense. And I don't even know why. I don't know
It just does. It does.
It just does. John the Drummer has it right. It's New Japan's dumpster title. Belongs on Great-O-Khan. Oh, man.
Hey, let's talk Raw. You mentioned a loaded show. It was also a really fun show. The first half of it, well, the whole show, actually, but especially I thought the first half just breezed on by. You saw the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. I guess they're Gallows and Anderson. They don't call them Good Brothers.
Yeah.
Return to back up AJ Styles for a feud that's coming up with Judgment Day. The OC is back. Still kept the same crap name.
Well, yeah, like, so the newest shirt doesn't say the OC.
But that's what they referred to him as.
No, I know, but it wasn't like, you know, I kind of wonder if they might get rid of that name because they were referring to it because it felt like more like out of obligation because that's what they were last time. I get the feeling they're not going to have like that big goofy OC. I don't know how hard they're going to go on that name. They should just call them all the Good Brothers. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah, it was kind of surprising. We've got somebody who, according to Fightful, and as we just know, is still has obligations with New Japan, according to Fightful, through Wrestle Kingdom, which is months away.
Yeah.
Anderson is still the Never champion, at least until November 5th when he has a match against Hikuleu. And I mean, honestly, I'm sort of racking my mind. Maybe somebody in chat can bring up some precedent here about WWE signing people who still have an obligation and them being on TV while they're still completing those obligations.
Yeah, I don't think there is a precedent for that. So I'm looking at WWE Shop right now. I got this club shirt right here in front of me.
Yeah.
Well, so they call them the OC, but then this shirt says it's referring to them as the club. Which, remember correctly, wasn't that what they just called Finn and the Good Brothers that 3 week they were a thing?
That sounds right. Yeah. They used that before. They're like, oh, it's the club. You know, honestly, man, here's what you do. You call them the Good Brothers or you call them something else, not the OC. It's terrible. It just reminds me of that show from 2000, like the mid-aughts.
Yeah.
And here's also the thing. Now that you're referencing everything, now that you've literally signed a guy who's still in New Japan and will be for a couple months as one of their champions, you outright say these two guys led Bullet Club. You talk about Bullet Club. You reference the history, you know? Like, let's say it. Say the damn thing on TV.
Yeah.
Because I say everything else on TV these days.
Yeah,
so... No, I thought it's very interesting that they have Carl Anderson and Gallows there, considering they're still going to do some New Japan stuff. Mm-hmm. I love it. This is something that Vince, I don't think, ever would have done, ever would have considered. But now, like, dude, this is – are we going to expect this every Raw after a pay-per-view, like something this loaded? Or is Triple H just –
This is a season premiere. I think that's why.
Oh, that's right. They call that – this was season premiere.
Season premiere of Raw. That's why it was so loaded.
Yeah.
Where was this? FTW Assassin says, I could be wrong, but didn't Samoa Joe and AJ Styles have dates to fulfill after signing with WWE? Samoa Joe did after he signed with NXT. He had some dates to fulfill. Did
he show up on NXT and was still completing dates?
Yeah.
Okay, he was. Okay. That sounds vaguely familiar.
That was NXT though.
And that was NXT, and I think those were indie.
But I think he wasn't signed full time to NXT. Yeah, but that wasn't. He didn't sign a full time deal. Joe didn't when he first signed NXT.
Wasn't it like a weird appearance deal or something like that? It was like
yeah. It was after Joe left Impact, but I think he was doing some work for Ring of Honor, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no, this is really interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, this is ridiculous, and this would never happen. But given that AEW and New Japan have a deal, like, you know, it's I don't know. It's funny to me that Triple H takes over, and then things are just sort of like a little bit looser. You know, it's like, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't really. That's why I think that's surprising, because I think Triple H understands either directly or indirectly what acknowledging the larger world of professional wrestling can do for your product.
It's surprising to see it in action. A lot of stuff that he's done has been surprising, not because I didn't think it was possible under him, because I never thought I'd see it.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, just like the other, we saw Edge and all that happening in Extreme Rules, but to see it in action is something completely different, you know? And I love to see it, and I think it's awesome. So yeah, I thought that was great. All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Hey, Larson.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know lately that we've been seeing a lot more professional athletes speak out about the importance of mental health. There's been several top stars that stepped away from their sports to tend to their own mental well-being. But pro athletes aren't the only ones who need to take care of their mental health, and therapy is the best way for anybody to stay in peak mental shape.
That's true, Steve, and I've been there before myself. About 20 years ago, I was dealing with severe anxiety, and realizing that I wasn't in peak mental shape, I went in search of a therapist. But back then, finding the right therapist was a difficult process, and it took me quite a while to find someone I was comfortable talking to. But once I did, I started gaining the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety. Today, BetterHelp is a great option if you're considering therapy, because it makes the process of finding a therapist much more convenient and accessible. The whole process is done online, so you don't have to leave your house, and all you have to do to get connected with the therapist is fill out a quick survey. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time.
So when you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, RexMD. Guys, listen, I understand. I get it. You don't like going to the doctor, and I get that it can be difficult to talk to the doctor about certain issues, especially when it involves down where, Steve?
Down there in the crotch chop area. You guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but here's something to remember. Most men's health issues have a simple solution, and RexMD is all about simple solutions.
RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it straight to your door. No office visits, no talking to a receptionist. It's super simple.
It is super simple. All you got to do is fill out a quick medical questionnaire. Online, a doctor will review your situation, prescribe you generic Viagra if appropriate. Then your medication gets shipped directly to your door with free 2-day shipping.
Thanks to RexMD, over 300,000 guys have gotten generic Viagra quickly and conveniently. RexMD is fast, simple, and cheap. You can access your U.S. licensed RexMD physician anytime you need afterwards.
RexMD just works, and it works the very first night. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our viewers, but you've got to go to RexMD.com/raw to get started. That's RexMD, RexMD.com/raw.
Brock Lesnar is back for that Saudi Arabia paycheck, the Crown Royal paycheck, this time against Bobby Lashley, who he fought at the Royal Rumble this year. Of course, Roman Reigns screwed him out of the WWE Championship in that situation. This time, Brock screwed Bobby Lashley out of the United States Champion. So Seth Rollins is your new United States Champion after goading Bobby Lashley, desperately looking for something to trigger the guy after he was like, nah, I don't care what you're going to say. And so he used his time in the service. Said you're letting down your country by not putting that title on the line.
Said he's a disgrace to this country.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to fight.
So Bobby Lashley put up a hell of a fight, but was selling those two F5s pretty hardcore. And then, of course, the Kimura, whatever. And so we have a new United States champion. How do you see this match going down at Crown Royal between Lashley and Lesnar?
Well, I guess it's gonna go one of two ways. Either Brock gets his win back over Lashley, or Lashley gets a clean win over Brock.
That would be the best way to go, but I get the feeling Brock's going to win that thing.
Probably, and if that's the case, if Brock does end up winning it at Crown Royal, then hopefully they'll do a third and final rubber match, and then Lashley will get the win there. If Brock's just going to be, making sporadic appearances and not be in the title picture, he doesn't need to win every time.
Well, let me ask you this. The only reason I say that is because you figure, well, WWE, they're going to Saudi Arabia. Hey, we want a good pop for them. They'll pop for Brock Lesnar. He's a good guy. Do you think the Saudi government at all would make suggestions? Hey, can you have that guy win? We like him. Or do you think WWE just knows, hey, you know what? They like him. We'll just have him win this one. Plus, he lost already. Lost with the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I honestly don't know. I don't know what kind of influence.
I mean, they said they wanted certain people, alive or dead.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I mean, it's one thing to say, could you put this wrestler on the card? But I don't know if their influence on the card extends to essentially booking who wins and loses.
Well, they've attempted to reanimate wrestlers.
I understand
that's kind of a bigger deal. That's a bigger deal than who's going to win and lose. Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
As
far as I'm aware, the ability to reanimate
a
deceased individual has not been accomplished yet.
Hi, Triple H. Yeah, what's up? This is we're from the Saudi Sports People Authority, whatever it's called. Yeah, how can I help you? Can you bring back a dead person, please? There's a limit to what we can do.
Exactly, I know. Who am I, Jeffrey Combs?
Right, exactly.
I don't know how to reanimate anybody.
Yet. We're working on it. We've got some ideas.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyways.
Speaking of Triple H, we got the DX 25th anniversary celebration. It was just the greatest hits. That was all it was.
Yeah, I like that they let the crowd shout out Billy Gunn. There was no daddy ass chance from what I could hear.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, but at the same time, they just kept it so tight and quick.
Dude,
And
here's the thing.
I think people are like, wow, DX is here. That's cool. And they just did all their catchphrases, and people say that. And so there really wasn't a whole lot of room for people to say daddy ass.
I think I honestly kind of feel like the sentiment is kind of different these days. Like it's not like the crowd is resentful and argumentative with the WWE anymore, because everybody kind of knows they're giving us cool shit. So like we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't consider if they busted out some daddy ass chants. I wouldn't necessarily think it'd be, hey, we're saying this in protest because WWE sucks. It was simply because he wasn't there. That's his thing now, and that would be the crowd's way of saying. And maybe that's one of the reasons that they put that gap there for the crowd to fill in, was to give him a shout out from the crowd, and by doing that, well, that'll potentially cut off any sort of daddy ass chance or something.
I wish that DX would have made a reference to. I know Kevin on commentary did talk about Office.
Well,
Supplies
Shawn Michaels
like
did.
That.
He started,
and
doing
he did
this.
the scissor thing. Yeah. Something more over it would have been nice. Apparently, according to Fightful, there was a couple pitches to try to bring him in. But I'm not.
I don't think that the way Tony Khan has been talking about WWE late, I don't think that would have happened.
I don't think that's gonna. Maybe at some point when he said they were friendly with him, but not now.
Not now. No, not now.
So yeah, I'm not. Let's just go ahead and dive into it. Open up pretty funny. We had DX.
Yeah, this was pretty funny.
At the gorilla position. It was everybody but Triple H, and HBK asks Road Dogg and X-Pac, "Are you guys ready?" And they are. But the question is he ready? Triple H is at gorilla. He's got his suit on. He's got the headset, but the mic is like all bunched up here.
I know. He's got his reading glasses on.
He looks as grandpa as possible. It's hilarious. So,
well, also kind of as corporate as possible too.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. As nerdy and corporate as possible. He says, not only is the 25th anniversary of DX, it's a big night of Raw. He says, "Come on, guys, we can't do our stuff. We got sponsors now. We could do our stuff. It's fine, but look, no cursing, no talking about genitals." And Road Dogg just says, "Penis." And Triple H, "No, why are you saying that?" He said, "I can't say penis." And then they all start cursing a lot. X-Pac curses. HBK tells Triple H, "You know how this is going to go. The place is going to go batshit crazy. It's going to be a fun show." He says, you better be enjoying it right the fuck now. Triple H, if they got a fucking problem. HBK's like, "Oh, see, you did it now." He's like, "Yeah, you guys got me doing it now."
And then HBK goes, "Look over there. There's 3 cocks hanging out."
Yeah, he said, "Who left their cocks out?" And the camera pans over. There's like 4 rubber chickens.
4 cocks hanging out. Sorry, yeah.
There's like 4 rubber chickens up against a monitor. Triple H says, "What are you guys talking about? You can't do that. And which one of you put cocks here?" And then X-Pac says, "The cocks were here when we came in." And HBK says, Triple H got a hold of one of those cocks, and he does. HBK says, "It's time for us to get out there. It's time for Triple H to choke his chicken." And then they leave, and Triple H says, "Hey, no fighting." So yeah, it was pretty funny stuff.
The chemistry between these guys is still fantastic after more than 25 years.
It's always there. Yeah.
It's always there. Then the Bloodline opened the show. Of course, Roman tells Brooklyn to acknowledge him. They do. The crowd there does. And he says, "I can't come out and lie. I got to be honest. When you're the GOAT, you have to move forward. You don't like to dwell on the past." He says, "But I can't get past Friday for some reason, which brings me to something my father taught me. The loudest in the room is also the weakest in the room." In the background, you see Sami Zayn starting to sweat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he says, "So in my mind, if you're the weakest in the room and you're part of the Bloodline, that just makes you a fool." And he turns to Jay and says, "Jay,
he called
a fool."
Before he turns to him, he says, "Jay." And the crowd goes, "Oh!" He says, "Are you a fool?" He says, "Because we've done this a couple times." And he's getting in Jay's face. We talked about this yesterday. Jay just shrinks like a puppy who knows he's in trouble, who just soiled the carpet. So Sammy interrupts. The crowd goes, and then they start chanting his name. And he's like, it's just on Friday, you said that Jay wasn't your problem anymore. He was my problem. So as the honorary Oos, I'd love to handle this situation." And Roman laughs and says, "You really are the honorary Oos." Because at first, Roman always does the thing where he looks menacing, like he's got to give it some thought and he's going to fuck you up. But then he smiles, "You are the honorary Oos." And so he says, it's all yours. Go ahead. So Sammy says, "First of all, Jay, we all love you, But Roman and I, we were talking the other night about the future of the bloodline, and like, your behavior of late, well, it hasn't been very oozy. And Jay is mortified. He is absolutely mortified. He says, look at Jimmy, for example. Who doesn't love Jimmy? And they do their little handshake thing. He says, how do you not love Jimmy? He goes over to Solo. He says, look at Solo, built like a brick house. He's also serious, but also kind of cool. He says, we're all pretty cool, actually. So, Jay, we just need you to be cool. Do you think you could be cool? So Jay doesn't even look at Sammy. Looks right at Roman. And Roman says, don't look at me. This is him. And Jay says, cousin, this is a joke, right? You're ribbing me, right? This is a joke. Your family. Jay starts to get heated. Sammy steps in. And then he's interrupted by Riddle. Now, the funny thing about this is every feud that Roman seems to be in right now is nowhere near as compelling as what's going on within the bloodline. So Riddle's kind of not even wanted here. Like, the crowd gives him a really lukewarm response. Now, all of the bro stuff still works and resonates with the crowd.
Yeah.
But like, everybody's so focused. And the same thing with Logan Paul. Granted, Logan Paul's kind of a bad example because he's kind of crap anyways. And the people, they're not into him. Well, there's people aren't into him. And honestly, like, he has no business. But look, I like Logan Paul fine when he's mixing it up with the Miz. That's fine. But like, he's just wasting everybody's time with this bloodline stuff. So anyways, Riddle says, why are you guys talking about last Friday? You should be talking about Saturday when I not only beat Seth Rollins, but tapped him out in the fight pit. He says, Roman, I've beaten you before, and I can't challenge Roman. Or he says, I know you've beaten me before, and I can't challenge for the title, but come on, one more time for New York City for the title, bro. And then Roman asks, Brooklyn, should we give Riddle one more chance? They cheer. He says, nah, a deal's a deal. So Riddle says, well, if you won't step up, maybe somebody in the bloodline will. Crowd starts chanting Sammy, and Jay starts egging Sammy on. He's like, yeah, come on, honorary Oos, step up. He's calling you out. And Sammy says, well, Jay, when you're right, you're right. He says, let me just handle this situation. So Sammy asks Riddle, he's like, do you think you're funny or something? And Riddle says, yeet. Sammy says, no. You don't get to say yeet. You don't get to say yeet. That's a bloodline thing. That's us. He gets to say yeet, points at Solo. He gets to say it, points at Jimmy and Jay. He pauses on Heyman and says he gets to say it, and then he gets to say it. And you see Heyman in the background saying, why did he hesitate on me? Why can't I say it? Which was fucking hilarious. So then Riddle says it again. He says yeet again, and Jay says, oh, he's low-key disrespecting you, Sammy. You going to step up? You going to handle your business? Sammy says, yeah, I'm going to handle it. And he challenges Riddle to a match later on tonight, and Riddle accepts.
Yep. Then we got an Extreme Rules recap package, and usually these type of things, they show stills, or at least stills of the finish. Not here. They seemingly showed video of pretty much everything.
The only thing they didn't show was the concerto to Beth. They cut to black later on that. No, the later they just cut to black on it. When she went down, they cut on the actual impact, but they kept the audio of it.
Even when Finn showed footage during his promo?
Oh, I thought you meant during the recaps.
No, I meant during Finn later on.
I don't remember. They
actually showed that. Then we got Austin Theory versus John Gargano. So this is a solid bout. Gargano gets the win here. He gets that by Theory's looking for that rolling drop kick. He does off the apron. Instead, Gargano counter for the super kick. Theory rolls out of the ring. Gargano hits a suicide dive, DDT, and then one final beat to get the W. And then right after that, Rey Mysterio versus Chad Gable. Another really fun bout. Rey gets the win here. Reverses an Alabama slam into a Rana, sends Gable into the ropes. 619 slingshot splash to get the W, but then Dominic gets in the ring. And then, so he steps up to Rey. He's like waving Rey on. Come on. Rhea gets on the apron behind Rey, so Rey turns around, sees her, turns back to Dom, and Dom's like, hit me. And he starts pushing Rey. And Dom keeps telling Rey, hit me. Come on, hit me. And Rey puts his hands behind his back, saying, no, I'm not going to hit you. So then Dom slaps him and tells Rey to hit him again. At this point, Damian Priest gets in the ring. Rey fends him off. Finn gets in the ring. Rey fends him off. Eventually, Rey's going for a 619 on Finn. Dom intercepts, like lays him out. Grabs Rey by the mask and tells him to hit him. Ray can't bring himself to do this, so Dom blasts Ray from behind, and then Rhea holds Ray against the ropes so Dom could hit him with a 619.
Yeah. Ray's doing really good work here. The whole bit where he was on the apron just crying. It was really good stuff. Let's rewind real quick. Gargano versus Austin Theory. Where is that headed? Because it just sort of seemed to be like they just had a match. They've had matches before.
I know.
And they're good. They're really good together. They've got really good chemistry.
Yeah, I just don't know where it's going.
But like,
because Gargano and Owen has already beat Alpha Academy, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they had some steam going with that, and then they just sort of like, I don't know, dropped it. But maybe it was just a loaded show last night, so they couldn't sneak in any actual story movement there. But that's what we like. So anyways, after that stuff, we had a Judgment Day promo because they're still there, and Rhea says, like I've said every single week, we run Monday Night Raw. Priest says the crowd hates to hear the truth. Rhea spoke the truth. So every person who steps to us falls while Judgment Day continues to rise. He says, let's talk about how Finn handled business at Extreme Rules. And Finn says, when you come at me...
Sorry, me interject here real quick. Priest is really doing like super over-the-top horror movie villain and all this stuff these days.
It's great.
Really over the top. I know it's pretty solid.
I love it. So Finn says, when you come at me, you best not miss. So to all the people who are cheering and partying over Edge's return to the ring after 9 years, here's the cold, hard truth. I ended the party. I stopped the celebration. I'm the one who pissed on the parade because I made Edge say the words, I quit. Hey, Rhea, what did I make Edge do? You made him say, I quit. Hey, Priest, what did I make Edge do? I believe you said I made him, I quit. And so he says, but I don't quit. I'm too legit to quit. What is it?
The Hammer reference.
Too legit to quit.
That's too legit. Too legit to quit.
There you go. He says, I want to watch. He says, I want to watch my win again. So he throws to a recap. Everybody at Judgment Day laughs about it. Rhea calls Beth a joke. She's wearing an armband that says Beth on it, by the way. She says what she got was just a glimpse of what I'm capable of. Dom says, Dom starts to speak, and once again, crowd just fucking dumps on him. It's great. He always has to stay there. He always soaks it in, which I love. I love that. He's got that little smile on his face because he loves that shit. Mm-hmm. He says, and watching Rhea in action, hitting Beth with a concerto did it for me, did it for all the fans as well. And my favorite part, other than 619ing my dad, was seeing the pathetic and devastated look on Ray's face. He deserves to feel as useless and helpless as he's made me feel his entire life. So Finn says, that brings us to AJ Styles. He says, I hope AJ has reconsidered things since we last spoke because I've run out of mercy. He says, so I'm there to offer him an ultimatum. And then before he's able to get to it, AJ Styles comes out, walks towards the ring, says, as long as we've known each other, it's come down to an ultimatum. Finn says, you've made this harder than it's needed to be. So AJ gets in the ring, says, I'm not here to argue with you. You're right. Everything I've ever needed was standing in front of me with my back against the wall. I've been along for too long. There comes a time in a man's life when I need friends. He says, I need family. He says, so for the first time we met in Japan till right now, am I not my brother's keeper? And then AJ bows to Finn. Finn is super happy, helps him up. They hug. He says, I'm so proud of you, AJ. I knew you'd finally come around. And AJ says, I wasn't talking about you. And then they have this amazing shot where they're still embracing, and AJ's just dead looking at Finn, and Finn sees the Good Brothers video package happen. And the music hits, and they come out, and he looks like he's seen a ghost. Yep. His two Good Brothers come out, and Finn starts yelling at AJ. Rhea whispers something to Dom. Dom gets in Gallows' face, tells him, get out of our fucking ring. That causes Doc to deck him. The brawl breaks out. Rhea gets back in the ring, kicks Carl Anderson out of the ring to help Dom. Anderson follows Dom to the floor. Finn leaps out of the ring. AJ follows, tackles Finn over the announce table. Gallows hits Priest with a chair. Rhea pulls Dom to safety through the crowd. The OC surround Finn. He sprints up the ring. Judgment Day is reconvened there, and he does the old seething Finn face. Yeah,
it was a solid segment.
It was
good
really
stuff. Good stuff. After that, we got a Bailey and Damage Control interview. And so the first question was, is Extreme Rules a setback? And Bailey is just seething.
Mm-hmm.
And Dakota's like, oh, don't worry, I got this. So she tells Byron, you want to talk about setbacks? Why do you think Bayley brought me back at SummerSlam? She says, I was at rock bottom, and Bayley was the only one who extended a hand. I would do anything for Bayley and Io. Can you say the same about Asuka or Alexa or Bianca? And then Io says something to Dakota in Japanese, and Dakota says, yes, none of them have any idea what we would do for Bayley. And when Bayley gets her rematch, they will punish Bianca until Bayley gets the gold that she rightfully deserves. And Io again comments in Japanese, and Bayley says what Io's saying is, tonight I'm going to kick Candice's ass. And they said, interview over, they all get up and leave. Before that match, though, we're in the parking garage. So Roman and Heyman and Solo are walking to their car. So Jay walks up and asks, hey, where are you going? I got to holler at you about something tonight. And Roman says, we don't have time for all that.
Laughs him off.
Heyman's got everything set up, put together. We're going to do New York tonight. And you ain't coming. You got to stay here, though. Stay here with Sammy. Wherever Sammy goes, you go. And make sure my honorary Uce wins his match tonight. And Jay tells Roman, yeet. And then he's like, all right. Jay says, all right, Solo, come on, let's go. And Roman goes, no, Solo's coming with me tonight.
And I can never read the look on Solo's face.
It's stone faced the entire time.
Stone the entire time. I'm like, is he cool with this? Is he not cool with this? I've got the feeling he's not cool with it. Every once in a while, he'll throw Sammy a look, and it's like, is he? Anyways, after that, we had Bayley versus Candice LeRae. Again, sort of subverting expectations here. You think, oh, Bayley's going to get back on track. Nope. Goes for a rose plant after working the shit out of Candice's knee. And Candice rolls her up and gets the win. Afterwards, she leaves. Bayley tries to go after her. Damage Control comes running down, attacks her on the ramp, puts her back in the ring. They hit a super kick backbreaker combo. Bianca comes running to the ring to make the save, but Bayley boots her. Io and Kai follow some stereo kicks. Bayley hits Candice with a running knee, and then Dakota Kai and Io Sky hold up Bianca over, like her head over the title. And then Bayley hits her with an elbow off the second rope, smashes Bianca's face into the title. And then Bayley just stands over her and yells at her. So this is not over yet, regardless of the ladder match.
And, based on what Dakota was saying in the interview before the match, Asuka and Alexa and Bianca don't know what we're willing to do to help Bayley.
Yeah.
Seemingly all into War Games,
Yeah.
Then we are backstage. Miz is back there walking. He walks up to Maurice. And he's like, hey, I'm not sure this birthday celebration is a good idea. We all know Loomis is he who will not be named is going to show up. And Maurice says, what, Steve?
No, what does she say?
Says, we won't let him ruin your party.
We won't let him ruin your party. I was trying to look for it in the notes here.
It's right here. It says, I got you a gift. I want you to open it.
Open the gift.
and he does, and it's a baseball bat. He's like, I love it. And then we get the Miz's birthday celebration. Maurice is hosting it. She introduces the Miz. Miz comes to the ring and says, wow, you really outdid yourself. And Maurice says, I know. I spent a lot of money. Do you want to know how expensive that bat is? Because Miz brought the bat to the ring. And he looks at it and goes, oh, it's signed by Cleveland's Jose Ramirez, the foremost power hitter in baseball. And he starts talking a lot of crap about Aaron Judge. Because they're in New York.
Now open this gift. And then he pulls back a piece of cloth. And there's two huge red balls with his picture on them. She says, they're two giant balls to fit your massive bat. And then Miz opens another gift. And then he takes a box off the table. And he's like, looking at the box. He's like, that's weird. It just sort of popped off the table. And he doesn't realize that underneath, Loomis's head was up there under the table. He's popping up from under the table. And then he puts the box back on Loomis's head. And he takes the baseball bat and he smashes it. But at that point, obviously, Loomis had already sort of ducked out of the way.
Yeah.
So he flips over the table. No Loomis. He's in the ring. He puts Miz in silence. Loomis pushes Miz into Maurice, who tumbles into the cake. Miz escapes and fucking runs, leaving Maurice there.
He sprints out of the ring. Just sprints.
Maurice gets up, sees Loomis, and then rolls out of the ring. So Loomis picks up a knife. Crowd's, begging him to eat some cake. He pops the huge Miz balls and then cuts himself a slice of it. It seems like this is all coming to a head next week, though, because a little bit later on, they're finally going to get a match with some stipulations to it.
Yep, and that was announced pretty much next. We get a quick shot of Seth Rollins walking backstage with some FPOS rib tape.
Oh man, love that.
It was pretty
rib
much
tape.
from top of the rib cage down to his waist.
It was like he was trying to channel Piper back in WCW when he had it practically from nipples down.
Yep. So we get Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Shawn Michaels hyping up some local enhancement talent because they got a match against Amos. So then the local talent leave. Miz and Maurice steps in, and Miz asks, "Where's Triple H? I'm sick of he who shall not be named." And X-Pac say, "Hey, can we get some cake?" And that just makes Miz angry. So Michaels says, "Hey, I know Dexter Lumis. Sure, he's no Marine." Shot at Miz there. Says, "But he's a good guy. But he just doesn't go after anybody. You must have done something to piss him off." And Miz says, "I'll do anything to get Lumis at this point." And Road Dogg says, "Oh, really? Well, next week you get Lumis. If you win, Lumis is gone from WWE. But if Lumis wins, he gets the Miz's enormous gifts, because at this point Miz has got his deflated balls there, and he gets a contract with WWE." And then Shawn Michaels asks Miz, "Do you have the balls to take the match?" Miz says it's on, so he leaves, and X-Pac asks Road Dogg, "Hey, I didn't know you could book matches." And Road Dogg just kind of says, "Yeah, I think I can still do that."
I think I can still do that. And he got rehired. After that, we had Amos versus Robert Adams and Joseph Torres. This ended as it usually does, with Amos dominating two men at the same time, hits a double choke slam, stands on Adams for the win. After that, they replayed in its entirety Bray Wyatt's return at Extreme Rules. Then we had was going to be Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. Bobby started with a promo. He says, "I say it every week, I'm going to be a fighting champion. So far, some of the names I've beaten: Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar." He says, "Now I've got Seth Rollins, who thinks it's okay to sneak up on me and sneak attack me because he doesn't think he got a fair shot at the U.S. title." He says, "Well, come on down and get your fair shot, ass whooping." Well, instead of Seth Rollins' music, it was the beast Brock Lesnar's music. He comes to the ring. Crowd's chanting, "Holy shit." They're doing their damnedest to bleep it out, but everybody knows what they're saying. So then Brock himself says, "Well, holy shit." He says, "Good evening, Brooklyn, and good evening, Bobby Lashley." And then he sort of hits him in the mouth with the mic and picks him up. Hits an F5. Crowd chants one more time. So he obliges, hits him with another one, with a German suplex and then another F5. He locks on a Kimura, lets go, and he leaves. Raw rolls on back from commercial. Lashley's getting checked out by a trainer. Seth comes down to make his entrance. He tells Lashley, "No, get in the ring," because they're starting to take him out. And he gets on the mic, and Lashley says, "You're not getting out of your title." Seth says, "You're not getting out of your title match that easy. I want the match. I want it now." He says, "Come on, you said you're a fighting champion. You're supposed to be a fighter." And Seth at this point is like desperate because he's trying anything to get Bobby to even pay attention to him, because Bobby is not paying attention to him at all. And so he's like, you're supposed to be a fighter. You're supposed to be a soldier, but you're not. And that perks up Bobby's ears. He says, "You're a disgrace to the U.S. title, and you're a disgrace to this country." He says, "Fight me." So then Bobby gets in there, yells at the ref to ring the bell. He does. We get that match.
Yep. So right at the bell, Lashley's looking for a spear. Seth reverses that into a pedigree that gets him a 2. He hits a frog splash, covers. Lashley kicks out, goes for a stomp, misses that. Lashley hits a spear, is looking for a hurt lock, but then Seth starts elbowing Bobby's arm, the one that Brock used for the Kimura. Hits a forearm, a super kick forearm to the back. Kick Lashley's bad arm, hits a stomp, leads the crowd in singing his theme, and then hits another stomp to get the win.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we got a Bobby Lashley interview. He says, "I'm pissed off. What Brock did was unforgivable, and now Seth is the U.S. champion. I'm not done with Seth. I'm going to deal with Seth, but first, I'm going to deal with Brock. I'm going to beat his ass. I challenge you, Brock, to show up on Raw next week and show that you're nothing but a little biatch."
After that, we had a Bray Wyatt, like the screen goes all
and it interrupted commentary. Yeah.
So you have like Bray in his like new mask thing, and he says something along the lines of, I used to think that the place inside my head was the only place I could truly be free. Revel in what you are."
Yeah.
I used to think
it's pretty, they edited it so it's pretty glitchy.
Yeah.
Then we got a promo that Elias is returning to Raw next week.
"Hello, my name is Elias."
Yep. Then we got Matt Riddle versus Sami Zayn. Again, Jay, he's just doing what he was told. Roman told him to make sure Sami wins. Well, Sami wasn't privy to that conversation, so he thinks Jay is just interfering because he didn't think Sami could do it himself. And so Sami tells him to stop. And by the time the second time Jay tries to help, and Sami tells him to stop, Jay's like, you're on your own. Fine. And so at one point, Riddle's going on a run, hits the power slam. He's looking for a draping DDT. Instead, Sami backdrops Riddle out of the ring to the floor. So while the ref's in the ring checking on Sami, the Usos are down the floor, leaving Riddle alone. So Sami goes down the floor, and Riddle hits him with a kick. And Jimmy starts to step forward like he's going to do something. Jay holds him back. He's like, no, he said he got this. And then Riddle is waiting for them to do something, just waiting. We realize it's not going to happen. He just unloads like 5 or 6 kicks on Sami's chest. And then back in the ring, Sami goes for a Blue Thunder Bomb. Riddle escapes that, hits an RKO for the win. Sami rolls out of the ring, and Jimmy tries to go over and help him up, and Jay goes, no. He says he's got this.
This is not going to go well for Jay because the mission was not accomplished. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what Sami Zayn said or didn't say. Jay had a mission, get Sami this win, and he messed it up. And he can try to say, oh, well, Sami said he didn't want my help. No, it's not going to matter. That's excuses. Oh, it kills me. It kills me. After that, we had the DX 25th anniversary celebration. They come out. This is kind of cool because as Riddle, the camera's still on Riddle leaving. Yeah. And then it cuts into it. Break it down, baby.
Man, I miss video packages.
Cool video packages. I agree.
Like
I know.
That. Gosh, it's the energy of all the crazy cuts and intercutting with shots of the crowd. Name
doing this.
That kind of moves a little bit.
Yeah. It's so lazy.
Or just so like a render of someone standing there.
The worst is Raquel and then Sonya Deville,
because it's just renders. One's on the left side, one's on the right side. And it's just a pose. I know.
Yeah, it's terrible.
These montages of whatever, whether it's highlights from the wrestler's in-ring career or just, this montage of what they got for the DX one, so much better.
I don't know why they don't. I honestly don't.
I don't know. Unless it's just really easy and cheap relatively to just spit out something from After Effects rather than have someone take 2 hours to cut something fun together. I don't know.
I don't know. Because it's just, it's nothing. It's no time at all.
I know.
It's no time.
It's like they're all templates and they just put the name in and that's it.
They're so cheap looking.
I know.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, in AEW, at least for some people, they have some kind of montage-y type thing. Like Moxley has a montage of stuff. It's not.
That was a question because I think they changed that during our old manager John Carl during his time there, and I swear we asked him that question, and I forget what he said.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they get to the ring. Yeah, they come into the arena in a Jeep. They get in the ring. X-Pac with the shout out to China. Road Dogg does his usual bit. And then he's done. And then Triple H goes, "It smells funny in here. Is that you, or is that essentially, or saying is that the crowd? Is that them?"
Yeah.
It says Triple H says it's been 25 years. Who here has been watching us since the beginning? And some people were raising their hand. He goes, "You're not old enough to do that. To watch us in the beginning."
Yeah.
It says 25 years is a long time. But right now I just have one thing I want to know. Are you ready? And he does the thing for the thousands of attendants, for the millions watching at home. For 25 years, we like to say thank you and we love you all. Let's get ready to suck it. And HBK says, as we've said, 25 glorious years of DX. But I'm going to put it all of us on the spot. You got to promise me, if we're here 25 years from now, you'll put us out of our misery. And if you ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you. What is that, Steve?
Suck it.
Oh, Enforcer says, I think he meant there was weed smoke in the air.
Yeah, no, that's what I got from too. And then Road Dogg shouted out Kaz, the writer who used to work there, because I think he saw him in the crowd and was like, "Oh, that's Kaz down there."
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The coffee was still coursing. I was waiting for the coffee to course through my system while I was watching this. I was still half asleep, so. You think that DX video package would have been all the hyping up I need?
I know, right? Well, I saw somebody shouted out Kaz on Twitter when Road Dogg shouted him out. So I saw that in advance. He's like, "Is that you guys or is that them? You got to know you guys are smoking weed in the arena here. What is that Enforcer out there in the crowd? What is he doing?" Anyways, you want to answer some questions?
Sure.
Do you want to answer some questions?
Sure.
All right. Well, I have a questions thread here. If I can load the darn thing up. All right, here we go. We got a bunch of them. Let's see here. First up, Alex Foster. So normally I'm the last person to notice when Mr. Money in the Bank loses a lot. Considering how often that's been happening lately, at what point does it feel like they've given up on Theory? So it feels that way. If I didn't think and understand that, because I firmly believe, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Triple H really likes Theory, Austin Theory. And I've like heard things sort of chatter online from various places that, one of the main reasons they even body evolved was to like get Austin Theory. I think they see a lot in him, but if I didn't know that, it would not seem that way. It really wouldn't. He's sort of like stuck without much of a story right now, and I know they're gonna, and that could change any week. Like we could figure out what the deal is any week now. But yeah, it does sort of feel that way.
Well, I think the difference is that we kind of have the idea that Triple H really likes Theory. I don't understand it. I mean, it's a pretty common convention within WWE. You win Money in the Bank and then you lose a lot.
And that hasn't changed since Triple H came back. Yeah. It seems like something's got to change there.
Now, the hope is that will be part of the story they tell with Theory. Like, something's got to change now. He's got this particular attitude right now. And at a certain point, you got to think there's got to be a change in that attitude that's going to lead him to winning and maybe successfully cashing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I'm not expecting a change in the usage of that convention. I'm just hoping using that convention tells a story. Because 3/4 of the time, it seemed like it didn't.
Yeah.
D. Kyle here says, with the OC back and them confronting Judgment Day, if Triple H wants to book a War Games match with these teams, who'd be the perfect female member for the OC? So, assuming it is Finn, Priest, Dom, and Rhea, who should join AJ, Gallows, and Anderson?
There's no obvious answer because, like, women who have been associated with the Bullet Club are kind of few and far between. But I guess, Diehard Homer says, and a couple people saying Beth, but I kind of feel like Beth and Edge are away licking their wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fierce Atomic says Amber Gallows because she was like technically like a member, but yeah, I don't think there is. Yeah, Maggie says Sonya would be cool. If Sonya was like a good guy, that could be cool. But yeah, there's nobody really with like a ton of history with them, is there?
Not in the company currently, no. Like,
I mean, even
Long Heavy says Maria, and I would get that, but
yeah, that'd be cool. I think she's more interested in booking wrestling these days, though.
I mean, Dex Gunn says Liv. Remember, she had the too sweet with the.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm even trying to think of somebody that like Rhea like crossed on the way to being with Judgment Day, and like besides Beth, like I don't think there's really been anybody.
No, I don't really feel like that's. I feel like that's the case too. Ty Moore says, when is the soonest you think Bray Wyatt will win a world title now that he's made his grand return? Should be a little while. I think that's one of the mistakes they made with the Fiend is that they rushed to get the title on him, and then they kind of booked themselves into the corner.
Fans were clamoring for that shit, though. They wanted to see that so bad, and it was actually really cool when they did. And then, but they just, it's how do you book that? You know?
Yep.
I mean, especially Vince. That's mainly the thing. Is I'm sure there's probably cool ways, but like Vince doesn't know how to do that shit.
No.
He was probably reluctant to do it in the first place, especially when Goldberg shows up, and then you got to do what Goldberg says. Apparently.
Yeah.
Steve Klain says, how would you book a Sanity return?
Oh, wow.
You would,
but Eric Young's doing such cool stuff in Impact right now.
You'd have him bring Diener and the yellow hoodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't know, man.
To completely steal what they're doing in Impact and just use it for new Sanity.
Well, dude, what do you like better? Violent by Design or Sanity?
Oh, Violent by Design, obviously.
I know, me too.
We never really learned what Sanity's like, what their deal was. They never really had that moment where they said, this is our manifesto. We never really got that.
Oh, they were squatters.
It's like they just want chaos. That was it.
We find empty houses and we sleep in them. That was it. I don't know. I think their thing was chaos. Their thing was, you
but
can't
why?
write that
They never
down.
really said why. And how are they going to implement it?
Well, I mean, if it's chaos, you don't have action items. There's no memos when it comes to chaos.
Well, I'm
it
sure
exists.
you would.
It just exists.
You just cut the individual letters out of the newspaper and glue them on.
That's a ransom note.
I know what it is, but you could use the same approach. If you think sitting in front of the word processor or typewriter isn't chaotic enough, you get different letters with different fonts and then glue it on a piece of paper. That's your memo.
Oh, man. Let's see here. Mayor Planeusen, is AJ top Bullet Club leader? For my money...
If you hear AJ talk about it, he was never Bullet Club leader.
Yeah. For my money, it's Kenny. He got them in Hot Topic.
Yeah. In terms of pure entertainment factor, it might be Finn. It might be Prince Devitt.
But Jay White's had so many fucking moments.
Yeah.
Jay White is so good.
Jay White is really good. It's kind of a bummer that Bullet Club was in decline when he took over.
Mm-hmm, yeah. No, I know. He's so good. Did Tama win, Gato? Tama win? Shit. I hate to say this, but yes. Gato's
I
hilarious,
love
too.
the press conference where Jay White's sitting there pounding his fist in the desk. Sacrifice. Sacrifice.
He's so fucking good.
He is really good.
Let's see here. Double H says, what do you think the OC does after the Judgment Day feud?
I don't know. Maybe they feud with the Bloodline.
Oh, that's cool. I like that
So
idea.
AJ can have a match against Roman for the title.
Did AJ hasn't been, I guess he hasn't been on Roman's list, huh? Like they never had a thing, have they?
Yeah, they did.
They did?
Like shortly after AJ came to WWE. Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, since he's been the tribal chief.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. That's what you got to do. Let's see. We've talked about that before. David Matushak. Considering that Carl Anderson is currently a never champion, what will become of his reign?
Well, I mean, I think the odds of Hikuleo winning that title in about 4 weeks time just
shot up to like 1,000,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to come to an end. I know it's the never title, but anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.